Hi guys, we're going to talk about all the books that I read in March. We're finally getting back on track to release these at the beginning of every month. So I hope you guys keep enjoying them. The first book I read was Lessons in Chemistry, which I think was an audiobook for me. I really liked it. It was a cool, it's about a scientist who's having to fight to be recognized as a scientist because she's a woman, and it's a really interesting exploration on what being a woman in maybe a different era means, and what being a woman who stays at home or doesn't means. And it was also just really interesting. It gets a little sad at some points, but it was a good bit of fiction. The next book was The Master and Margarita, which was my book club book. If I haven't said it already, I'm in the book club study hall by Classically Claire. It's really beautiful. It's semester based, and it focuses on classic Russian lit. It's all classics, but a lot of them are Russian, and it's been a really cool thing. I loved The Master and Margarita. It was actually one of those that I was I don't get why other classics are so popular and this isn't. It's absurdist, which takes a minute to get used to. But it's really exciting, and it's about the devil comes down to Russia, and he is this giant talking cat sidekick, and all these schemes are going on, and then Margarita comes along and gets her lover who is a writer back, and through negotiating with the devil, and then the writer, it's two books almost where the writer's story about Pilate is, and the crucifixion is happening simultaneously. And that part, I'm not gonna lie, I loved. The first storyline, great. The Pilate storyline went a little slow for me. It was still good, it was still important, but it was a little, sometimes it was getting myself through to the really crazy chapters. I thought it was one of the and I don't want to say the easiest, but it was a better introductory Russian lit book than say Crime and Punishment. It felt very similar to reading The Nose. I thought it was a little bit easier to understand than The Nose, which is weird because The Nose is significantly shorter, and I think that's why. Yeah, it's really cool, and it's if you want to start with Russian lit, start with that one, I think. And then I read In Between Darkness, which is a book that I haven't actually seen a lot about anywhere else, but it was a really good book. And it's people are separated. Everybody has magic powers, and they're separated by if they're born during the night or during the day, and they aren't allowed to speak. And so it's kind of the chosen one trope where one person is actually a product of both, and she falls in love. She thinks she's a son, and then she falls in love with a knight who it's kind of forbidden romance, but also the chosen one. It was good. It was my spring break book, and I really enjoyed it. My other spring break book was Gifts from the Sea, which I'd been waiting for it to be a little more summery to go ahead and read. And it was really good. It was an interesting perspective on life, and there's a lot of things to take away from it. I think that any time that you read it, you would take something different away from it. But what I really took away from it was the idea of how relationships change over time, and it offered a really cool explanation on how any relationship you have is going to change so much over time. You're not going to have the same relationship again, and that's okay, and part of it. And it was a really cool idea, and it was written by a really phenomenal woman who had 6 kids and did all the things, and it was written during her alone time vacation at the beach, and it's written through comparing different types of shells and their functions and stuff, but it's not super scientific. It's just that's how she introduces all the chapters, which I think is really interesting. And the last book that I read last month was The Third Gilmore Girl, which was an autobiography and for Kelly Bishop, and it was really good. I like reading random autobiographies for people that I don't super know. I think the last one I read was Barbara Walters' Audition, and it was great. And I really, like, I knew who she was, but I really didn't know anything about her. Nor do I like watch a lot of her stuff. And it was something like I've seen some of Gilmore Girls, but I like reading biographies for people that you don't really know things about. Also, if we're talking about autobiographies, Lucky Palmer's A History of the Future is really good, and it's about like the founding of Oculus and VR headsets and stuff, which I'm not usually remotely interested in, but that was really cool just to like learn something new. And the biggest thing that I thought was interesting about The Third Gilmore Girl actually wasn't about how Gilmore Girls was filmed, but about um, Kelly's evolution of like becoming a dancer and then a showgirl and then working her way up through, because I'm someone who does a lot of theater and is wanting to do that for a living. But then also I thought it was really interesting. She talked about how the chorus line was formed and how it was formed. Like basically they got a group of like showgirls together and had them talk about all their experiences and then formed the script and stuff off of that. And I thought that that was a really, like, I'd never heard of that. And it makes it feel so much more real and impactful. Like that was really what their lives were like. And kind of some of the things that like they both were grappling with and are still grappling with today, with like issues and fears in the industry and stuff. And it was really good and fun. So yeah, that's everything I read in March. See you guys next week.